Hello and welcome back to Derail Valley Simulator. This is Virtual Farmer Ken Bob, and as you can see here, I'm holding the paperwork for a freight haul load. We're going to take this over to the Sawmill. After our last video, I went ahead and spent some time doing some shunting work around here at the harbor and freight, or harbor and town. I'm sorry. I don't know why I say harbor and freight, but anyways, whenever I got done with all that work, I went ahead and put a train together so I can run it up to the sawmill. And well, we're gonna have to run back into the dispatch yard because I forgot our train is way down here. If I can go catch it, find it. Let me turn that out. But I'm going to take a couple engines with us because one of them I'm planning on leaving at the sawmill. I think there's an engine already there, but I think it might be a steam engine, and I don't have a license to drive a steam, nor do I really care to. So I mean, I'm going to get the licenses because you got to have them in order to buy the, not buy, but in order to collect the museum pieces, or demonstrators they are called, I believe. But I can't drive it right now, and I don't know, sometimes it's easier to just use what's already on scene than to take the engines out of your train. Especially whenever you just have a couple cars to move and you're not really doing a massive work session. But right now, you can see this is not going to pull it with just one car. One engine. We must have a brake on somewhere. I'll have to go back through and look. Probably inside these engines. I never thought about that. Open the door. Yeah, that one's on. Check out this first car just for the sake of it, since we're already out here. Doesn't look like it's on. Okay, now let's see. And it's not flashing, so that's good. I thought this should have been able to pull it by itself because it's only 414 tons. And according to the book, one engine by itself should easily be able to handle 400 tons. I did do some checking around, and since it's been a couple days since I recorded, I made some changes to my mic, and I hope it's helping and it's not messing up anybody, the recording, because I'm not listening to my voice anymore. I found a way to be able to shut it off and not have to hear that delay, but yet still record it. But the only way I can tell how I'm doing is if I look over at my modulation, and to do that I have to turn away from the mic, so I don't know how that changes the volume at times. And if I'm talking too loud, because I don't want to overmodulate. But after watching a couple videos, I have got to be able to hear my train, because it'll sit here and that throttle will keep popping back and forth if I don't have it right on the notch. And with the volume turned down, I can't hear that. But when going back and listening, watching the video, I hear it constantly going, and it's annoying to me, so I don't know about anybody else. Alright, let's run back here to the office. And we're going to have some expenses now because I moved the train. So we better take care of those. Alright, now let's go down to licenses. And we need to get multiple unit right there. Not real thrilled about it since it costs $5,000 copay, and it'll also take away some of our time bonus. But we gotta progress. Oh, concurrent orders 1, so I'll see what that does. And that takes away 2% and another $4,000. So yeah, this is going to come at a price, but again, in order to progress, we got to move on, get some of this stuff bought. Okay, there we go. Now we've got the multiple units, so we can hook them other engines up and get them running. At least one of them, so that we have a little bit more help going up the hills. I gotta set these in my little shack here because I don't like carrying them around. Alright. See, these are both facing the same way, so I'll probably drop this one off at the sawmill because I want the other one to face the other way. That way we don't ever have to turn our engines. Okay, that one's hooked up. We won't turn them on right now because I don't really want to, you know, waste the diesel, but we have them hooked up if we need them, and we can jump into them real quick and fire them up if they need to be used for the hills. Okay, well, we're gonna have to go through and set all the wheel brakes back because we just paid fees, and every time you do that it puts the brakes on. Well, it didn't. Oh, because I didn't have any fees on this engine. Huh, that's right. It was just the first engine. Alright. Looks like we got our air going. I heard a little bit of it running in the mic, so I mean headset. Oh, I don't need. I'm doing this wrong. Okay, now we got it going. So let's hit the road. Not quite sure what happened here, but I heard a little bit of a brake release and then why? I don't know what caused us to stop. This engine's not even on, so it shouldn't have any effect on what's going on. Well, I don't think we lost any cars, and I don't... Yeah, we're getting there. Not really the best place to end up losing air. I went ahead and turned that third engine on just to get the electrics going, but I don't think that had anything to do with it. Should have disconnected the MU cable because we don't need it. I don't know if I can do that while we're on the run or not. Seems a little bit risky. Alright, there we go. Now it's just a car. Hopefully that'll do the trick. If that is what it was, I still don't know. Our air pressure was fine. Never saw it drop. Okay, this should be the junction coming into the sawmill. And we'll need to stay to the left up here. Because if we go right, that'll lead us into the B yard, and we need C. Kind of was looking at my books, and I saw that we were coming up to a grade, but I gave it a little bit of power and didn't quite get on it fast enough, so we've been kind of crawling up the hill for a while. Didn't ever have any other issues with the air, so I don't know what happened that caused us to lose air suddenly like that. Never had that happen before. Alright, so we're already set for the main to head to C. So that's good. Try not to blow a traction motor right here at the end. Alright, we're gonna go to the right and the second ladder off of the right. We'll go ahead and cut our engines here because I don't think we're gonna end up stopping too soon. So go to the right. And then to the left. And that ought to be 3. I hear a lot of people say 31 and 30 and so forth, and it's I find myself doing that too, so I just say 3. It doesn't matter if it's an I or an O or an S or an L. I mean, it's 3. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and park this train up and we'll run in and drop off our paperwork. And I think off camera I'm gonna break the engines apart and move that one engine to being by itself, but I don't see it. There it is. There's a one of the steam locomotives sitting right there, and I can't drive that, and even if I could, I probably wouldn't want to. There's just so much about it. It's very intensive. So it's going to take me some work to figure out how to do all that stuff. I mean, there is a mod to have an automatic fireman. But without an understanding of what I'm doing, even if with the automatic fireman, if something goes wrong, I wouldn't know it because I don't have that experience. So I need to need to try to figure it out before I go and add all those mods. Alright, so we got our delivery done. Go over here and let's pay our inevitable fees. I mean, that's not real bad, but that one's kind of high. Damage. Well, wheels. Okay, yeah, I see that. And ×2 because there's 2 axles. Alright, so let's go. Whoops, let's go up. I guess I could have just paid that one and been done. Oh, you can hear the air on the engine going out. I don't know why it shuts the engine down whenever you make a payment, but probably because of fuel, because you have to put new fuel in it whenever you're paying the fees. But anyhow, well, that's it. We got to the sawmill, and that's what our goal was during this particular episode. So if you're hanging around still, I appreciate it. I hope I did a fairly good job of editing to make it at least somewhat interesting instead of just sitting there looking at a TV screen. But until next time, have a great day and stay safe out there.